Oh boy, it's NXT 2.0, and this might have been the best episode of NXT 2.0 so far.
Yeah.
I will say, asterisk next to that one, not a high bar to reach. And I will say, I'm not a huge fan of NXT 2.0 in general, but this was probably the best episode of it so far. I'm joined by Laurie Blake today because Tempest is off.
Come on, I'm here. They did it, Pete. They did it. The best episode so far. Get in there, guys. Well done. Well done, team. Well done. We bloody well did it. The best episode so far. Yeah, NXT 2.0. Woo!
Just about the best episode, maybe, because they had a really good main event that kind of saved it. But hey ho. Yeah, we'll talk about the main event first. But get in your Ultrachats at WrestleTalk.com/support. Because we'll read out all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. Let us know what you thought of this show, because I thought it was all right, maybe.
All right,
but it was saved by the main event.
Right.
The main event being the North American title match of Swerve versus Santos Escobar, which obviously was built up a little bit. LDF and Hit Row have been feuding for months now, which has been going basically nowhere. And now they've just gone, oh, we should probably do that title match because Swerve's leaving for SmackDown. So now they've done it. The start of the show opened with B-Fab and Top Dollar getting kidnapped.
Oh, yeah. Back to the well.
I was going to say, I guess that's Legado del Fantasma's MO at this point, because that's how Raul Mendoza and Wacky Wild even joined Legado in the first place, was they got kidnapped in the parking lot. So that's just their...
But I feel like the swerve was that they were kidnapping themselves because they were already part of the group. Because we've not seen any other masked men kidnap people since true. Wild and Mendoza did it. So Wild and Mendoza kidnapped themselves to pretend that they were There was a plan there, Pete, and the plan paid off when it was like, ha, we weren't kidnapped. We were the kidnappers the whole time.
Yeah,
guys.
And we hired those people to pretend
for us.
I believe the insinuation was that they were indoctrinated by Santos into joining, but we never actually got confirmation of that happening. We're getting sidetracked here. They kidnapped B-Fab and Top Dollar to start the show, so it was just Swerve by himself. And Swerve cut a really good promo, I thought, in the middle of the show, because Swerve is such a good promo of him just being like, Santos has let out the evil spirits, and if that's what he's trying to do, it worked. And he's gonna get wrecked. That's not what he said in the main event. And
I'm gonna do a win when it's later. Yeah,
that's me. But the main event came, and it was a really fun match because both of them are really good wrestlers. Santos sent the others to the back just so he could wrestle the match by himself until he didn't want to do it by himself later on. Okay. But the actual wrestling in the match I thought was spot on. It was very, very good, very exciting. I think Swerve's fiery nature really came across in this one, of him just like going ham on Santos the whole time and just being like, I'm going to destroy you. You kidnapped my friends. I want them back. Let me kill you. Which was really, really good. But then later on in the match, the rest of Legado del Fantasma came out to cause a distraction. But Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams came out, the heels, to even the odds and beat up Mendoza and Wild. And then that allowed Swerve to kind of regain control in the match. He hit his finish, got the win. Swerve retained over Santos, which I don't think a lot of people saw coming. But then Carmelo Hayes raises Swerve's hand afterwards. But then he attacks him, and he cashes in his not Money in the Bank contract that he has and gets the North American title match then and there. And after a little hope spot from Swerve kicking out of a springboard elbow, he then does this big leg drop. And he wins. Carmelo Hayes, new North American champion. It was a fun way to win the show.
Yeah, I think this was one of this was the saving grace of this episode of NXT for me. Oh, right. Yeah. It was a good-ish. It was a good-ish show. Yeah.
It was
this was two acts that didn't really get any time to shine in the old version of NXT, particularly. Like, they were definitely floating around in the cruiserweight division more. They were viewed as lower in the card, and actually, like, the the kind of changeover in NXT has given them a chance to shine. As that transition happened to like building up to 2.0 and 2.0 coming in, both Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma, I feel like have come into their own. And this felt like a big deal, these two finally facing off. I was really pleased by it. I think both factions have done wonders in NXT. I'm really excited to see. I'm hoping Hit Row go on to do good things on SmackDown. Kind of hoping that Legado del Fantasma either move up the card now onto like Santos goes into an NXT championship picture, or that whole faction moves on as well, and we start to see them on the main roster, because I think also they could work really well up there. The match itself, I thought the pair have great chemistry, and this was like, this is kind of what you wanted NXT to be. Like, I don't think either of these two have been in there for too long or been overexposed to the degree that a Kyle O'Reilly or a Finn Balor has. So it felt like younger, fresher talent, even if that's not necessarily true, having a match and putting on something really quality and elevating that mid-card title to something that's worthy of a main event on the show. And then you get the swerve at the end, the swerve in the swerve match, to put the title on Carmelo Hayes, the direction that WWE clearly wants to go with 2.0. But this actually feels earned, as opposed to like Bron Breakker showing up in the main event to face off against Ciampa, or having a match at Halloween Havoc just after a couple of weeks of being there. Like, Carmelo Hayes at least won a tournament to get that contract, and you get that kind of, and it's a very main roster moment to do a cash in at the end of a match, but it worked here and people were into it, and they were really behind Swerve for that hope spot and shocked when Hayes managed to win. And it does sort of speak to a bold new direction for that bit of the division. And I think Carmelo Hayes is someone that can carry that division now. He's been exposed and built enough to kind of be the North American champion now.
For sure, yeah. I mean, Tempest and I was saying just through the whole breakout tournament how much we thought that Carmelo Hayes was awesome through the whole thing. He's such a fun like personality. The heel turn I thought was a bit when it first happened. I think it can work, the pairing of him and Trick Williams. I think he probably works better as a face, but this cash-in moment, him just kind of stealing the title away from Swerve is really good. After everyone expected Swerve to lose the title to Santos, because that's the logical choice, because Swerve's going to the main roster, right? But having Swerve retain and then having Carmelo steal the title away from him afterwards was a really good moment. This comes with obviously the normal asterisks of normal WWE production of like, why did Carmelo and Trick come out to save? They're the heels. And like, why were fans just like, yeah, Carmelo and Trick, we love those guys. Like that, they're heels, right? It doesn't make character sense for them to want to save Swerve, and Swerve like should have been aware of Carmelo wanting to attack him afterwards, because dumb babyface was just like, oh, this guy helped. Yeah, great. I'm still champion. Like, he should know that Carmelo is a heel, would attack him, and doesn't have his best interests at heart kind of thing. There's a little bit of a dumb babyface moment, but like overall, the moment of like the Money in the Bank style cash in was a lot of fun. And it was, Money in the Bank cash-ins in general on the main roster are very fun. It's one of those kind of suspension of disbelief moments where everyone just goes, yeah, but that's fun though, isn't it? Like, it's kind of like a Rumble, Everyone loves a Royal Rumble just because the concept is really fun. Does it really make a lot of sense about people going over the top rope and that people can't really do it? A lot of people just chill in the corner for the majority of the match? Not really, but everyone glosses over that because they go, a Rumble's really fun. And this is one of those things where it's just like, does it really make sense in all the details? Not really, but cash-in moment's fun, so we'll let it slide for this one.
I definitely agree that it could be a stronger moment if that was the heel turn as well.
Yes, exactly.
If you were turning heel anyway, that would have been the moment to do it. Like the actual this. And it did feel like a punctuation point on the heel turn at least. But, if this should have been the first inkling that he was a heel, and just, bam, I've won this title. Or you're going to get a bigger pop having Swerve overcome Legado del Fantasma, overcome Santos, even though all the odds are against him, and win. And then Carmelo's music hits, and Carmelo comes down and cashes in. Like, that's, to me, that all has more gravitas. But clearly also they've just... the way that NXT is now done on television is like they've got no time. They're spending the whole time being like, okay, next thing. So that was obviously why Carmelo it was more convenient for him to already be there, because you save time doing the cash in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But minor grievances aside, I really like this direction. It was the surprise result I don't think anyone really saw coming before this episode. So it was a good thing. It was easily the best thing on the show. And it was the main event. And the main event should be the best thing on the show every week. That's how you should leave them. So yeah, good way to end the show. Didn't really like the rest of the episode, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I've got to say, I saw the message and I had it highlighted here waiting to bring up because I completely agree with SB3 that said the main event and surprise ending was a lot of fun, but the rest of the show wasn't worth a damn for me. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, shall we? I would say let's get into some of your Ultrachats, but I don't think we've got any, unless we don't have a mod actually getting them. I don't think we've got any Ultrachats in. Get them in. WrestleTalk.com/support. Do the thing. Do the Ultrachats, and then we'll talk about them. I don't know if they've just not updated or whatever, but... Or we don't have any. Either or. Get them, do it. Do the thing. NXT review. Let's talk about the show. Which, as we mentioned, started off with the kidnapping. And then we got Joe Gacy versus Tommaso Ciampa. I've spent all my energy talking about why Joe Gacy is a terrible character. Him just saying, I represent all of you, all of my snowflakes. And I was like, I don't care at this point. I've burnt out all my energy talking about why I hate the character. It's stupid. It's dumb. I hate it. Moving on. Yeah, then we had Joe Gacy versus Tommaso Ciampa in a championship contenders match that they didn't call a championship contenders match, but it is though, isn't it? You beat the champion, you get a title match.
Mm-hmm.
That's main roster for me.
This did nothing. This match was like what I don't understand about this. What I don't understand about NXT 2.0, apart from the Carmelo Hayes winning the North American title, which feels like a payoff that was kind of worthy of the amount of work that's kind of gone into building that character. They're inserting all these new people into these pictures with this older talent, and they're either having the older talent kind of put over the younger guy, but the younger guy's got kind of directionless, or they're having Joe Gacy go in a match against Ciampa and get nothing in. Joe Gacy did like 2 moves in this whole match. He did the power bomb. He fluffed up a moonsault because he missed, and then Ciampa tried to do his springboard, and Ciampa sliding drop kicked him in the face. So like
he did a cool looking Uranagi at one point.
So but this is the thing is like, yeah, okay. So he got a couple of, he literally got 2 moves in and 2 misses, and Ciampa just destroyed him. And that, like, I get that we're not meant to like. The idea is we're not really meant to like Joe Gacy. That's the whole point of the character. But it doesn't build him as a star if you're just going to watch him get wrecked by Ciampa. And then there was this whole weird moment where Ciampa leaves the ring at the end of the match. He gets decked by Holland, and then Holland grabs Gacy, and Gacy strokes his face with the back of his hand like he's like a frightened owl. Like, calm down, boy. He looks at him like, daddy or something, and then just leaves.
Sure.
What? You know when they got Parker Bordeaux, it's Parker Bordeaux, isn't it? Like when they got him,
yeah.
When they got him, and he looks like the second coming of Brock Lesnar. Like he looks like someone put Brock Lesnar in a de-aging machine and took him back to like Ruthless Aggression era Brock Lesnar. And the only thing they could think to do with him was backwoods monster man again. Like, how many backwoods monster men have? Do you know what? Because also Joe Gacy was that character before he got to before in WWE. Like that was his last character. Why are we just having? It's like I'm from the backwoods and I'm a monster man. I'm sort of Braun Strowman. I'm sort of Luke Harper. Whatever, man.
I have a photo that I'd like to share for this that I found so funny. I was getting images for the news video this morning, and I just came across this one, and I love it so much. And it's of Holland as he's just about to attack Ciampa. It's just like got his arms out wide.
Make yourself big. He's real scary.
He's standing there just like, I am big tough man. Just look at him.
I don't know. It's just like
good,
he already had a look, and he had a thing about him, and they've stripped all that away to make him just like a copy paste monster. And what are they gonna? They're gonna do this. What, like he's got he's got feelings somewhere in there that Joe Gacy's going to tap into, or he's going to be Joe Gacy's backup. Like Joe Gacy's going to be the monster whisperer with using his feelings skills or whatever they are. Sure. Like I don't understand Joe Gacy at all. But like, I was not into this, and I don't think it builds either of these two people to have them involved with Ciampa in this specific way. Like the way you build someone against Ciampa, and I'm hoping they do this with Bron Breakker, like, you know, unless they're going to have Bron Breakker just win the title at Halloween Havoc. But like, have a good match, have a long, good match that looks close and gets someone like elevated to that. You know, they're never going to quite jump straight to the level that Tommaso Ciampa is, but you could at least try to sort of bring them up by looking good in defeat, looking stupid in defeat, and then stroking a man on the face just makes me confused.
But after that as well, stroke a man on the face, and then went to go, I think, hug Ciampa, and Ciampa pushed him on the floor, and then he started smiling as he walks off, and it's like, why are you smiling? You lost. You look like an idiot. Why are you smiling? It's genuinely one of my least favorite things when people lose and then act like losses don't matter. And it's like, what? You're just like smiling for no reason. You're literally just like,
this happened a few times. This happened a few times on this episode.
I'm getting in your head. It's like, you're lost. All right. You're lost. It's the end of it. You should be upset of the fact you lost because you don't have your title match that you wanted, supposedly. Why are you smiling? Hate it.
But his character needs something below that surface. Like what Joe Gacy is missing is like a repressed rage or something. You know, like there should be a reason that he's like that. Like, and that kind of, he doesn't have that at this exact moment in time. He doesn't really have anything beyond. He's weirdly meditative and calm and obviously like trying to rile up the crowd by being kind of that way about it. But then just has a regular match and then goes back to being the character he was before. It needs to be like he's like this because he's got some issues that he's trying to keep a lid on, and he's trying to he keeps letting it out and then trying to clamp it back down. I don't know.
Yeah. But after this Toxic Attraction came out, and like you were talking about earlier, just like, right, next thing, come on. Chop, next thing. Like before that segment had even ended, Toxic Attraction's music hits and they come out for a promo. It's like, I guess everyone else just leaves.
Everyone's walking past each other on the ramp the whole time. Like, tag you in. Your thing now.
Next. But they came out and did a promo, and this was, I don't want to call it the most stereotypical promo ever, but I'm not going to say that it wasn't the most stereotypical promo ever. We do what we want when we want. Come on, your days as champion are numbered. Come on, have some more original lines, will you? These are just like all of the cliche lines you could possibly have into a promo. Gigi and Jason want a women's tag team title match, and Mandy wants a title match against Raquel Gonzalez, which they're both having at Halloween Havoc, though the women's tag title match will be a triple threat, which we'll get onto later. But yeah, this was a promo. NXT 2.0 love Toxic Attraction. They have put so much time into them. They get long promos, long entrances. They get a big spotlight, which then begs the question, why did they lose in their women's tag title match against Zoe Stark and Io Shirai? They just have them win.
They just need they need something more about them than being like this kind of the way in which they're scripted just it falls flat every single time because it, like you said, it is just the most cliche heel stuff. There was even a bit later on where they come out and like the first thing they say is like, nobody likes you. Like, it's just like, oh God, we don't like you. Like, nonsense. It's juvenile is what it is. And like, there is something more interesting in these three characters working together, surely, that you can build their promos around and you can build their kind of, allure around.
Yeah, maybe. We then got a little interesting video package. It was like a little voiceover with a distorted voice, something at Halloween Havoc, someone saying, I will bury the past so I can start again. And it was someone like digging a thing. Sounded like a female voice, but had been altered. Don't know who it was. For me, it sounded like Rhea Ripley, but I don't think it's Rhea Ripley somehow. It sounded like a bit of an Aussie accent to me. So who knows? But Halloween Havoc, I will bury the past so I can start again. I'm sure we'll find out in time. We then had a little quick match of Xyon Quinn versus Malik Blade. Xyon Quinn won. That's about it. That's all you need to know about that one. Xyon Quinn is cool. I like his look. And I like the fact that he does a little tribal like a hacker war dance thing. It's cool. I like it.
It's a Siva Tau. It's a Samoan one.
Oh, Dakota Kai is a great shout, by the way, for the person. That's totally what it sounds like. Great shout. Yes, Bailey Sting. What a great callback, Nate S.
Bailey Sting.
Yeah. Yes. So Xyon Quinn won that one. We then had Tommaso Ciampa backstage, who gets interrupted by the Grizzled Young Vets, who are saying that they can't wait to see him lose his title. Bron Breakker then comes in and says he's going to stand by Ciampa's side from now until Halloween Havoc because he wants to beat Ciampa at his best. And he will, won't he?
That means he probably is going
win.
to. Yeah. Or he's going to turn heel. But I don't think that's
possible.
going to happen. So,
No.
yeah, I think. But how are they going to compete? Pete, the big question is, and this is a question that was raised by Raw quite a lot. How in the holy heckins are they going to coexist, Pete?
I don't know. I'm on the edge of my seat wondering how they're going to coexist, Larry.
This is where the main roster booking starts to seep into your NXT.
Starts to seep in, Larry.
This is it, mate. This is cut and paste Raw booking to just go like they've got a match, so the next thing that they have to do is do a tag match because we couldn't think of anything else for them to possibly do for 1 week.
Yeah.
God damn
it. Swerve does his backstage promo, which is very good. We then got Ivy Nile against an enhancement talent. I did write the name down.
Feroz.
Thank you. Ivy Nile, I think, looks awesome. She has a really cool look. I think that Diamond Mine are really starting to find their footing as a gimmick now. I think it took them a good couple months because at the first couple months it was just like, so you're a bunch of dudes? Like, what's the selling point here? But they're now starting to get like, I saw someone on Twitter say they look like Globo Jim from Dodgeball, which I now can't get out of my head, which is really, really funny.
Blazer. They do. There is a Globo Gym vibe to them.
Yeah. Start coming out with the as they start coming out. That'd be great. But anyway, Ivanhoe looks really, really cool here. She's strong. Has a really cool delayed suplex. Has a torture rack finish, which I thought was really cool. And I like that she didn't do the thing that old torture rackers used to do, which was they do the bouncy thing with it.
Yeah.
She just had her and just squeezed her in, and I was like, I don't like it at all, but in a really good way. So yeah, I thought it was really cool. She looked great.
Yeah,
good for Ivy Nile.
Get her doing that on someone really bendy, like a double jointed Alexa Bliss will actually just go in half. That's when it's going to look really cool. That move. I thought this was a good little debut for Ivy Nile. She looks good. Like you said, I also enjoyed when she was in the Titan Games. That show's crazy. Love Titan Games. That show, that you can tell The Rock came up with that show, can't you?
It's wild.
Jesus, they're just going to smash up a stone. Why not? Smash up a stone. That's one of the rounds. We're smashing up a stone. The Rock drinking more and more tequila as he comes up with each individual round. But she was great. And yeah, I think this was what you kind of needed from her debut. You just needed her to just mince someone in the first 30 seconds and show off. I kind of wish the torture rack thing was set up a bit differently. She kind of walked around with her for a little bit before she did it. And then it looked like it was just a regular torture rack. It looked like it was kind of going to go into a more impressive move. And actually, maybe if she'd have picked her up quite quickly and immediately started squeezing, it would have had a little bit more impact. But ultimately, it's quite an interesting, cool move that I don't think I've seen before done in that way. So that's a big plus. Bivens then spoke, didn't he? He said, "This is Ivy Nile sent a message to every woman in NXT. The Creed brothers they're good, aren't they? The Creeds. Roddy Strong, he's a champion. Other guy, you don't get a look in. Sorry, mate. None for you.
Doesn't matter. Nah.
None for you, my friend.
It's just a coach. Doesn't matter. Yeah. That's fine. There's a decent little promo. But then they get interrupted by Ikemen Jiro. And okay. In theory, I think this is fine. This is what Tempest always talks about with the little negative ones that just get marked across the show. Where it's just like, oh, that's a little thing that just detracts from the show. Oh, this is a little thing that just detracts from the show. And then they rack up across the whole course of the show. Ikemen Jiro comes out, and for some reason, everyone gets out of the ring apart from Julius Creed. And it's like, why? Apart from the fact that it's scripted that they're going to have a match later, like, why would everyone get out except him?
Because he's the main one, Pete.
He's
always Julius Creed has always been the main one in Diamond Mine. He's the leader of Diamond Mine.
Clearly, yeah.
No, he is. Also, don't laugh. He bloody well is.
But the thing is, though, sure, Julius Creed could be the winner. Why would everyone get out of the ring when it's Ikemen Jiro, a guy who they've beaten repeatedly, and I don't think he's won a match in NXT. He just really likes jackets. Like, that's... Why would anyone be intimidated by him? They're a group of like 5 of them. And then they're like, oh, Ikemen, a guy with jackets. We better get out. Julius, you stay here, though. It's just...
I think that was raw confidence like in their leader, Pete. They knew clearly that Julius had it because he was so strong because he's the leader.
Yeah, clearly. It's just, I don't know. It's just that little nitpick, that little negative one that's just like, just, hey, here's Tempest in the chat. Hello. Just talking about your negative ones, Tempest. You're welcome. It's just that little thing that's just like, oh, it just detracts from the show a little bit. But then they had a match. But then Jiro slapped Julius Creed, then darted out the ring, and I was like, oh, end of the segment. And they said, are they going to have a match? I was like, why would they? He's just run away from him. After the break, they're having a match. Like, oh, okay.
He also rolled out of the ring to where all the rest of Diamond Mine were.
Yeah.
This is why Jiro hasn't got a win in NXT so far. Yeah. I thought this was like a fine little palate cleanser match, I guess. Like Creed just got a ragdoll Jiro around for a bit. Jiro did. He blocked an Irish whip by flashing his jacket.
Yep.
And then he did the handstand thing where he does the legs, and then slammed him with a splash, and then did an Asai moonsault. That's fine. Yep. Then he just gets dumped. Then he just got dumped on his head, and then Creed did a clothesline.
Yep.
Fine.
Cool. Yep. But then don't worry, because saving from a post-match beatdown is Kushida. Here he comes. Oh, he's got beaten up as well. Ah, well, nice try, mate.
You come out together, guys, and then you don't try and save someone they're already beaten up. Don't save them. Just come out with them, and then you can both. Because then
it's still a 5-on-1. You know. No,
yeah. So this is going to be a tag match of Jiro and Kushida versus the Creeds, surely.
You'd think, yeah.
Or both of them versus Ivy Nile.
Perfect. And Ivy will win.
Murders them.
It's going to be great.
That's how you build a character.
Exactly. Raquel Gonzalez then did a promo saying they want to spin the wheel and make the deal for her title match against Mandy Rose. Great. We then got, oh my God, Lashing Out with Lash Legend.
What is it? I don't
understand what it is. I don't understand the concept. I don't understand the execution of it. I don't understand what it is or does for anybody. What does it do?
I love the canned laughter. It's great.
It feels like there's just a bunch of in-jokes with her crowd that she's got there. Just a bunch of in-jokes. Like this is this long-running TV show that's got all of these in-jokes going left, right, and center. And I have no idea what any of them are. As a first, it's like I'm a first-time viewer of a long-running show that's just got all of these in-jokes and things going on. And I'm like, what's happening? I just don't understand any of the content of this. And I don't think it elevates anybody. Not even Lash Legend. Still can't get over her name. Lash Legend. I'm
not dedicating any more time to talking about this, Pete, because I think it's so heinous and god-awful.
Did you know that the WWE draft next year is going to be called WWE Squid Game? And then says that she doesn't want Tony D'Angelo being on her show. Forget about it. Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner Von Wagner then faced Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland. This was fine. This was a tag match. It was all right.
It works. I think this works, man. Like this was good when Kyle and Pete were in the ring and they could do technical moves on each other backwards and forwards and kind of start to build up. And then, like I said in the review on WrestleTalk, you had the monster truck rally as Wagner and Ridge come in to beat the beef crisps out of each other. Like it's completely fine. It just is mental watching the amount of work that Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly and Ridge Holland are doing to make Von Wagner look good. That's the only thing that's because like Von Wagner just he's not a character yet. He hasn't got any wants. He hasn't got any needs. He just exists and has these matches and runs around being big and going, oh, I've won that. And it doesn't do enough to it. Like everyone else has a really established kind of role and feuds and things going on in NXT. And then all this new talent has come in and just been dropped into the talent pool here as if they've been there the whole time. And it just makes no sense. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this on the podcast intro, and just like my feeling with with the way they've done NXT 2.0 is they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, because the problem they had was that, you know, in the eyes of WWE management, the kind of stars that NXT was producing weren't the kind of stars that they wanted for the main roster. They weren't big enough. They weren't beefy enough. They weren't whatever the hell you want. But NXT never had an issue making new talent, no matter what size they were before. They had a very good system of, you'd have an NXT championship picture of older stars who'd been in the company for a while, who'd worked their way up to the title pictures. The title picture felt very rich of characters that everyone knew and felt like they'd been elevated to the position to be in the NXT championship picture. You then had a mid card that was a bit of the guys who were waiting to go up and a bit of the guys who were coming in from below. And then you had sort of a lot of developmental enhancement matches before it went on to USA Live, at least. Like you had those kind of matches where you got to build characters and see what people are about. This just felt like we had a feud. There's a feud here with Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland, and we've just helicoptered Von Wagner in and dropped him. And it doesn't work, because NXT's old system of building stars would also work for a Von Wagner if you just applied it to Bron Breakker, Von Wagner, all these other guys. I don't know why they also chucked out the system as well as like going, we don't want vanilla midgets.
Yeah.
Mental.
Totally. Insane. Von Wagner won by pinning Ridge Holland. I guess it was the best person to take a pin in this match because he's going to the main roster, but also he's going to the main roster. So you would have thought that maybe they'd want to protect him, but whatever.
NXT doesn't exist in the main roster. So that's you're completely right. It's completely fine for Ridge to take a pin here on his way out and put over the younger guy, but or probably the same age guy. But I just don't get. I don't get Von Wagner. I don't really understand I get he's tall. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
I remember the tallest guy you've ever seen.
But is it just going to be him and Kyle tagging now? Is that like a thing? Because they seem like they were quite chummy at the end of this. Is this the end of Kyle's singles push that we've been waiting bloody years for, and that felt really like deserved and earned as it started happening last year? Like these are all the questions that anyone who's been watching NXT for any period of time are mulling over when they see someone like Von Wagner going over in this match.
Yeah. And also, I just want to point out that the story is so blatantly obvious, Laurie, that they were talking about last week, is how will Kyle get over his trust issues, and how can he learn to love again? Well, he did it this week and it was fine. So, he just did it and it was totally fine and they won. So that storyline is now resolved, I guess.
It's just going to be in a tag team. He's going to be in a tag team with Von, basically, until Bron is the champion. And then Von and Bron, the Von Brons, can just spend the next 6 months bashing together, and Vince spends his time in his masturbatorium. Yes, I did it!
They're going to be the Stone Cold and Rock of NXT.
People called this episode all right. They said it was all right. Yes! Yes, it was fine!
We then had... Oh, did I miss a match? I might have missed a match. I think I did.
No, I didn't.
Oh, when was the Grayson Waller match?
Later.
I didn't write that down. Okay, I didn't write that down in my notes.
I've got it.
Good. After that, we got Andre Chase backstage, and he did the same joke as before, where he threw a guy out of his class. I will say, I like the fact that the story of him, Odyssey Jones, having his foot under the rope, and Andre Chase being like, "Huh, what an idiot! He should have had his foot on the rope. What an amateur!" I'm like, that's an interesting little wrinkle in the thing, because that makes more sense than not referencing that at all. Which is it was nice. That was cool. But this was the same joke, and like it's funny, but it's the same joke as you said before, of him doing, him saying, "Isn't that cheating?" And he goes, "Get out of my class," and starts effing and blinding, and it all gets censored and stuff. Go down with Steve.
Do you know where you want your foot actually is under the rope, but hooking the rope? That's where it's hardest to get rid of. On top of the rope is just as easy to push off as under the rope.
Just as easy to push off, yeah. Ah, well. Or technically, I guess you want it on top but hooking, but then you'd have to be face down for that, so you wouldn't be getting pinned. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Tony D'Angelo, and I'm sticking by it. According to language, his name should be Tony D'Angelo, not Tony D'Angelo. Those are two very different things. Tony D'Angelo. He cut a promo being like, "Hey, what up?" And there was a guy in his trunk.
Forget about it.
He didn't get on Lashing Out with Lash Legend. And the dude came up, he was like, "Hey, Tony." Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
something to tell you.
Yeah. Hey, the producer came up and was like, "Hey, Tony, there's a little scheduling conflict. You know what I mean? Hey, forget about it." And that was it. That was the... Yeah. Whatever.
I like the character. I actually like the promos. I like the character.
Hey man, his in-ring work when he actually wrestles is quite funny. Him trying to like bribe the referee in his debut was very funny. Like, do more of that and do less of this.
It's like it's an old school wrestling character. It's great. I like it.
Yeah, but it's also really stupid.
It is stupid, but that's fine. Like, at least it's a character, Pete. At least it's like something. He's not just tall. He's like,
is it a character?
Yes. No one, like Cameron Grimes is a Bitcoin millionaire, Pete. Like,
he's had character development. He's had something.
Yeah, but this is character. Like, you get what this is about, and this kind of stuff that he's doing at least makes sense for the kind of character, the stereotype that he's playing up to. I don't mind it. I like it. Forget about it, Pete.
I wouldn't mind if he somehow linked his mob experience to wrestling. If he says, "Hey, I've got this log family and we support each other, and I've been doing this for years, and now I'm gonna extend my influence to NXT or whatever." But all of his promos, there's no mention of NXT anywhere. He's like, "Hey, I'm Tony. See ya." And that's the promo. That's the whole thing. Like, just talk about wrestling. You're there to wrestle. What do you want? What do you want in NXT, Tony? He's just there and he's like, "I'm Tony. Hey." And that's it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Forget about the character. You don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. Forget about it. Then it was Duke Hudson versus Grayson Waller.
Duke Hudson and Grayson Waller, which was fine. Grayson Waller, I really liked in his Cruiserweight Championship match against Roderick Strong. Grayson Waller I thought was really cool. Grayson Waller here, I thought he looked like a proper dick when he came out and did his entrance. I was like bouncing around the ring. I was like, "You do look like a knob though, don't you?"
Well, they just did that classic thing of like, they give someone like a little bit more character, a little bit more development that makes them sound good. And then they're like, "And they are stupid." Because they're just like, they were like, he was like, "Hey, yeah, you think you're good, but I was a Golden Gloves boxing champ in Australia. And I've done a jumpy thing and it's gone badly. And now I've been pinned by being held by the tights." And then, and so obviously that must continue because Duke was like, "Hey, maybe next time, man."
Also, Duke Hudson plays poker now. That's his thing. According to last week, he plays poker, so now he has a chip when he comes out. It's a character, Laurie. He's got a character. He plays
does
poker.
Have a character. That's a good character.
It's not a character.
It's a good character.
That's a bullet point. It's not a character.
It's a great character. It's a prop. It's a prop.
It's a prop.
It's a prop that's doing a lot of heavy lifting, Pete.
doing a
problem
ton
is,
of heavy
because
lifting.
we don't know what he thinks or feels because he's got such a good poker face because he's always in the game.
Oh,
He's always carrying a chip.
Laurie. Oh, Laurie.
Oh, that's a character,
bad.
Pete. That sounds
That
sounds like a character to me. Sounds like a character.
Real bad. Terrible. We then got a women's tag match of Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta versus Saray and other
Amari Miller.
Thank you. Indy and Persia won.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Sucks that Saray got a first loss in NXT. Hey, oh well.
Yeah, they don't. The Japanese people are up for grabs now.
Clearly, yeah. Jesus,
that's it. I think this is the thing. Is like this. I don't really. This was just like a random Franken team to take a loss to, mostly to Persia, who picked them up in a fireman's carry, marched around the ring, booted one of them off when they tried to get involved, did a sort of spinning flapjacky facebustery thing from the fireman's carry, and then Indy dives in with a splash and the win is done. Then they were like, oh yeah, maybe we should go for. Then Persia was like, hey, maybe we should go for the women's tag team titles. That brings out Io and Zoe. Io says she doesn't like anyone. She doesn't like you. She doesn't like you. And then Zoe interrupted to be like, let me guess, you don't like me either. She's like, hey, don't speak for me. She's like, oh, so you do like me? And she was like, no, not at all. But so I want to be the one to say it. That was actually quite a good bit of comedy. And then Toxic Attraction had to come out to round off the everyone has to do a promo bit. And they're all going to have that triple threat at Halloween Havoc. And this was where Toxic Attraction came out and were just like, you all suck. We want the titles. A brawl breaks out. And then the match is made. It feels like this is the problem with NXT 2.0 is because they're just trying to insert people into pictures they weren't in before. Everyone's just walking out and saying, hey, I want that. And that, I know that is wrestling. That is the motivation of most wrestling is, hey, I want that. But no one's really having a feud that defies that logic at this moment. And normally there are other stories going on in wrestling so that it doesn't feel like everyone is just coming out and saying, I want that. I want that. I want that. I mean, at least Duke Hudson has his poker chip, eh? That's something different.
Well, maybe that'll be the next feud then, where the next person wants Duke Hudson's poker chip. Grayson Waller's going to be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, poker's great. And I want some chips. So we're going to fight for some chips or something stupid because I want that. Yeah. Also, the triple threat at Halloween Havoc for the women's tag division, that's the whole division.
Yeah.
All three teams. That's everybody. It's everybody in the division.
Sick. Yeah, and it's a bit of padding, Pete, so that Io and Zoe can lose the titles to Toxic Attraction.
Yep.
Without them
without
going
pinning
over
them.
clean.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Which is terrible because you should want them to lose the belts. Also, I as great as the comedic timing of Io was in that little comedy bit of being like, oh, don't speak for me, and then when she was like, dude, also you do like me. I really am not liking Zoe Stark. Ever since the pairing with Io, I thought she was great before. I thought she had a lot of potential beforehand when she was just the singles competitor. As soon as she has been paired with Io Shirai, I'm like, I just don't like Zoe Stark anymore. I think her promos are really obnoxious. They've made her into a bit of a comedy goof, and she doesn't do very well with comedy. It's just... And then there was that one segment where she was just racist. It's just... Ooh, it's not good, is it? And then Toxic Attraction with, the generic promo. Whatever. I'm sure the Toxic Attraction are going to win the titles at Halloween Havoc. And I reckon Mandy's probably going to beat Raquel Gonzalez. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then Grayson Waller backstage introduces Cameron Grimes to Tinder, who's never heard of it, apparently. It's been around for 10 years now? It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, dating apps, there's also loads of them. And he also made all of his money online. So he he heard about the GameStop thing to make his money. Yeah. But has never explored the internet outside of that.
Yeah.
Also, do we really want a series of Cameron Grimes dating skits for the next few weeks?
No. I don't want Cameron Grimes dating skits. Full stop.
Cameron Grimes in the ring. That's what I want.
Yeah. Give me more of that because he's a really good wrestler. We we then got a little video promo of Solo Sikoa, who's the third Uso. But actually, the third Uso. Uso's brother. But it seems like they're not going to reference the fact that he is actually related to the Usos because he's going by Solo Sikoa. Don't quote me on this because I didn't listen to it a second time. I was going to go back and listen to it and I forgot. Did he say he was left on the streets at 15 years old?
Yeah.
Because might need to have some words with Rikishi. If that's
then he became the street champion of the island. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Gonna leave your lifeless body gasping for air.
Gasping for air.
Look out, guys.
Yeah. And we had the main event that we've already spoken about, Swerve and Santos. This episode was fine with a really good main event. I still would have given it a 2. I just don't care about NXT 2.0. I just don't care about it at all. And they're not engaging me with basically anything they're doing. But this was a very fun main event. There you go. I
think the main event was great. I thought the Dunne O'Reilly, Ridge and Wagner match was actually quite good. I liked Ivy Nile's debut. There's lots of little bits in NXT 2.0 where old NXT sort of strains against, you can feel it pushing against the kind of barrier of what NXT 2.0 has become. And those little glimpses through where you can see old NXT like underneath the new code that they've put over the top. That's really great. But yeah, I think the problem with NXT 2.0 as it is like you said, they're not necessarily grabbing anything. Nothing really has any motivation. None of the characters really they all feel a bit half-baked, probably because they were all thought of in about a week. And yeah, like everyone has just been helicoptered into these situations in which normally in wrestling, you have to have some sort of buy-in to that character to be like, yeah, well, of course, such and such a person is going for the world championship because they are important and they have won this many matches to do that. Instead, here we're just going, well, look at them. Of course they are. Like that, and that is all we're being asked to do. And that's, that's stuff they used to do with the Divas title, which they couldn't give a flying F about back in the day. Like they would have Paige come up from NXT and win the Divas title. Like, who the hell is Paige? Nobody knew at the time, but it was a fun moment to do with that title because that title to most of the audience and to WWE itself was not important. To the audience who watch NXT, these titles and these people, the Ciampas and the O'Reillys of the world, are important. We've spent years watching it, making it important. So to treat people as if Von Wagner is more important because he's tall and has probably the worst wrestling. I think Bron Breakker is a worse wrestling name, but Von Wagner almost, I find it even slightly more insulting, and I don't know why. There's just something about it that really sticks in my craw.
If they'd have had like a first name before the Von Wagner, and maybe they did Von Wagner rather than Von Wagner, which just sounds so much worse. If they had name Von Wagner, might have been a little bit better. But his first name being Von is just... I just don't get... It's not a name.
I can't wait. The Bron and Von connection. That's what I want. But also, like, if they called him Wagner, Pete, he'd be a heel. Because he'd be Austrian, wouldn't he? Like, there was a promo on this in which Imperium, which we didn't actually speak about, there's a promo in this where Imperium speak German and Italian because they're such heels. Oh, how dare they? How inconvenient that I must read subtitles. But yeah, Wagner wouldn't work. It has to be Wagner.
Of course. Von
Wagner. Wagner.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's get into the rest of your Ultra Chat, shall we? And see what you guys thought of the show. Jose Bautista says they could have at least put Escobar over since Swerve is moving up. Carmelo could have cashed in on him, but now I feel like Escobar just got wasted for months. Remember when Andrade said WWE waste Mexican talent? A shame. I see what you're saying. I don't know if I agree, but I see what you're saying.
I think the Swerve was justified in this sense. Like, I think Carmelo Hayes is a good choice for the North American title because I hope, and you would hope, that the NXT Championship maintains some sort of pedigree of people who've been there for a while and have the kind of the backing and the history in the company to be that champion. I can see Santos Escobar moving up into that picture. I don't think he'll ever win the NXT Championship, but I could see a Santos Escobar, Legado del Fantasma stopgap feud with a Ciampa or a Bron Breakker until probably Legado move up to the main roster, which I wouldn't mind, to be fair. I think I would actually just move them to SmackDown and continue the Hit Row Legado thing with a bit more story behind it.
God, please don't. They've been feuding since June.
No, but with matches, Pete, with matches between Santos and Swerve, I want to see that. Those two, there's more in the tank with those two, and you can tell it.
God, I wish they'd already done it. Kevin says, I haven't watched the 2.0 show in a while. I just love how WWE looks at AEW and takes the worst stuff here. First, it was the poor booking of the women's division. Now it's the bad pacing of the shows where they just stack pointless stuff on the show. I don't think AEW has bad pacing, personally. Maybe they did in previous years, but I don't think they do now. I think their shows are pretty well paced, I'd say. But
yeah, I think this was raw pacing where it's all wonky. It's you treat some things as if there's absolutely no time for them, and then other things are allowed way too much airtime. Yeah, that's classic WWE booking though, of the wrestling gets the least time. So
yeah, 100%.
But at least the main event got time.
Yes, exactly. Aaron Smith says, there's an alternate universe out there somewhere where we still have the old great NXT because WWE actually knew how to promote it. While there are glimmers of hope, I've lost so much trust in this company that I now think NXT will die within a few years. Wouldn't surprise me, I'll be honest.
I'll be interested to see what the viewing figures are for last night's show and for up until Halloween Havoc, because I feel like they're at least, they're promoting what is traditionally quite a big episode of NXT for them. So I think it will be kind of that, and then post that first big takeover, that will be for me that kind of where we see where the land truly lies with NXT 2.0.
This is the thing though, Laurie. The takeovers still exist.
Oh yeah,
and they're still doing takeovers. I don't know. I get the feeling that the TV specials like Halloween Havoc might be their pay-per-views now.
Oh, please don't say that, Pete. To be fair, I don't want to watch Bron Breakker and Von Wagner on a bloody takeover anyway. So there's not really anything in NXT that I particularly want to see on a takeover. So
there's never been a bad takeover. So if they just stop doing takeovers, that's 100% record.
Oh, it's a perfect run. Yeah. Okay, do that. Yeah, let's
just don't do any more takeovers. Or if you do takeovers, call them something different so they're not takeovers, so we can still have the what's the word I'm looking for? The sanctity of having 100% good or better takeovers. Oh yeah.
There's some really good names to take as well. You could just call it NXT Stomping Grounds. NXT's Great Balls of Fire.
NXT Great Balls of Fire. No,
number 1 through 37.
NXT Overtake.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect,
I like it.
Right? Yeah. Aaron Smith again says, also, since I've given up paying for the WWE Network, here's more of that sweet Khan coin going to a better cause. You guys have helped me get through a rough few months of living alone in isolation in Australia during lockdown, so thank you to you all. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Eternal Blue says, you guys bringing up Kyle now being in a tag team made me think, my God, they're going to put him in a tag team after releasing Bobby effing Fish. Thank you for watching so we don't have to. Also, Laurie is bold. There, now I'm the meanest girl. Uh-oh.
The meanest girl.
The meanest girl. Yeah, if you haven't seen Board Game Club, by the way, people were very mean to Laurie, and they called him bold a lot. It's unfortunate, isn't it? Good episode. You should go watch it.
I think you should be bald. I think the key with things is that hair is irrelevant if it's above your nose. So just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I've got no hair on the top of my head. I've barely got eyebrows, but I think a full face fuzz from the nose down and as hirsute as you like anywhere else is completely fine. But everyone should go bald. I believe that. Really and truthfully. Pete, you've obviously also joined me in baldness. Luke recently joined in baldness. Maybe we should get some other people at WrestleTalk to do bald.
I mean, Adam's already going that way, but I've got control over Ollie, and he's just got a hair transplant.
Ooh.
So I could, I could just tell it to just shave his head, couldn't I?
I'd love to watch
it. That'd be really
mean. There would be some satisfaction in watching his little heartbreak as he was like, but I only just got it.
Exactly.
Oh no, Davis, shave it off.
I think
I'm
going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. I reckon what we should do, because it's Crown Jewel next week, right? But I'm going to be on my holiday. I'm not going to be here, so I'm going to have Ollie representing me on the Crown Jewel live reaction stream. Don't worry, I'm sending my own picks in. I'm not going to trust Ollie to do my predictions for me because he'll lose me the belt. He's an idiot. He'll lose me the belt. So I'm going to send in my own picks for it, but he'll be there. So why don't I do it where we just have Ollie shave his head on the Crown Jewel live stream while he's watching Crown Jewel?
And you can make him do that as your manservant, right?
Yeah.
I think we discussed this previously. I don't think that's how manservants specifically work.
It's fine.
I think they're meant to
we're hashing out the details. It's fine.
Bring you some tea, wipe your bum, that sort of thing. But they're definitely not meant to shave their heads.
Well, we'll see what he says, because I'm pretty sure
it's a bit Bullingdon Club, maybe, but
pretty sure I can make him do that. So we'll see. Maybe he'll give us an answer on the news tomorrow or something. Anyway, that is going to do it for this episode of NXT. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out and sending in your Ultrachats and all that jazz. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching on Catch Up, please press the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with more awesome WrestleTalk podcast content, and the button in the middle that will make you become a pledge hammer over on our Patreon page. I have been Chopper Pete Quinnell, your Jam That Champion. I've been joined by El Fakador, Laurie Blake.
It was all right, NXT
2.0 was maybe fine.
Woo!